Now, Adidas was named after the German founder Adolf Dassler, who went by his nickname Adi. And I'm probably going to revert to saying what sounds normal to my ears, which is Adidas, but you'll have to bear with me. Nothing sounds right anymore. I'm just going to do my best. Hi, this is Kristin with Running Shoes Guru, and today we're going to take a look at the Adidas Adizero Pro. Now, I'm excited to tell you about a recent 18-mile run I did in this shoe, but first let's go through some details. I ran in the Adizero Pro at the same time as running in the SL20. Now, both of these shoes from Adidas feature the Light Strike foam in the midsole. We have Light Strike running all along the lateral aspects and the medial side. And if you look at the bottom of the shoe, you can see the Light Strike on both sides with the brand's Boost in the middle. Both of these foams are TPU foams, and they're both very responsive. The Light Strike is lighter and a little bit more firm for a firmer toe off. One thing I appreciate about this shoe is that they feature Boost in the heel. Now, this shoe is made for half marathon and marathon running, and I know that when I get fatigued, I land pretty heavy on my heel. I revert back to the heel strike, and this Boost is comfortable, it's durable, it's responsive, it's great for that heel. I appreciate it underneath the ball of the foot here, and I feel like it gives me the same kind of responsive cushion that I appreciated in my beloved Tempo 9. Another aspect of this midsole is that there is a Carbitex plate running just below the sock liner, and this is the brand's top of the line shoe featuring that carbon plate, and we'll talk about the function of that as we go along. As we look at the outsole, you can see the Continental rubber underneath most of this forefoot. It offers great traction, and as we move back into the heel, under the heel of the shoe, there are all of these rubber nodules that really add traction and also protect the Boost underneath. And underneath the heel, we've got Adidas Adizero that absorbs the impact of a heel strike and protects that Boost underneath. And as I said, there's a Carbitex plate that runs right here below the sock liner. And as we move up in the shoe, you'll see that this sock liner is not removable. And that, I was a little bit worried that the shoe maybe wouldn't dry out as well, but after running in the rain, it really did dry. I'd say the shoe was dry by evening, for sure by the next morning. And it does not remove because that Carbitex plate is right below there. As you've noticed about this shoe, the cellar mesh upper is extremely breathable, it's translucent, it's quite something actually. It's stronger than it looks. Now, I wonder if they named this cellar mesh after celery, right? Because it's light and it's strong. Or if it's named after a cell membrane, because it's been about 20 years since I've taken biology, but I do remember that cell membranes are semi-permeable. They let in what needs to come into the cell and lets out waste products and what needs to come out. Well, this upper lets out heat and sweat and rain, like I said. I ran through a downpour and I was expecting waterlogged shoes with this, like I experienced when I ran the Twin Cities Marathon in 2008. There was a downpour for the middle miles of that race, and my shoes were so waterlogged, it completely drug down my pace. I fought hard and just could not carry that pace. I like to run, my goal marathon pace is 7:40 a mile, and I've been able to hold that in some races for the first 20 miles and then taper off a little bit there, but that's my goal anyway. And that Twin Cities Marathon, I think that was my first attempt at that pace, and I held it about through mile 20 and just crashed with those waterlogged shoes. Anyway, that's what I was expecting with this when I was running through a downpour. but the water just streamed right out of here. I really didn't notice any slowing down due to the rain, due to this, either the surface because of this traction. The traction was awesome, running on asphalt and concrete, and also a road with some little pebbles on it. Traction was great running in the rain, and again, like I mentioned, don't get waterlogged in these shoes. So that's awesome. More to this upper. We've got a thin little heel counter here, which that surprised me. Just this thin little piece. It's about as wide as my fingers here in the back of the heel, and then narrows as you come up. Now, my podiatrist said that one of the best things to look for in a running shoe is going to be a good heel counter. So I was already prepared to dock this shoe a little bit because of that. But as I was running, this shoe blew away my expectations. When I ran in this shoe, along with my all-time favorite racing shoe, the Adidas Adizero Tempo 9, one thing I noticed is that the Adizero has a very firm heel counter and the Pro does not, but the tight fit of this cellar mesh around the heel supported my heel, I think, about as well as this nice sturdy heel counter in Tempo 9. I also ran some miles with the SL20 on one foot and the Adizero Pro on the other. There is a decent heel counter in this SL20, but I feel like my heel was better supported in the Pro, and I was completely surprised by that. Looking again at this upper, you're gonna see that the tongue is very thin. The thin tongue has these neoprene pads on it. There's two of them side by side. They really protect the foot well from tight laces. The tongue attaches here on the lateral side, about 2 holes down into the shoe. It's just attached right there with nothing else to show here. It's see-through, it's translucent here on the side. And on the medial aspect, the tongue goes all the way down and attaches below the sock liner. There's just a swath of tongue about this wide in the shoe that comes down and wraps it. Feels almost like a soft booty, like some of those shoes, but again, it's pretty narrow. It's just the width of the laces here. Another cool aspect about the lacing on this shoe is that it looks like there's been kind of an attack of a little mini hole puncher here. See all those holes? Well, that is so that you can customize your lacing to what you prefer. I noticed that I really liked using the furthest out holes, coming up through the bottom, going down. When we get to the top here, I came up through the hole and then went back and looped through the second to top hole here and came down and tied it close to the tongue here. And again, those neoprene pads there really protect the top of my foot from tight laces. I felt like this type of lacing, using the further out laces, really helped to wrap my foot in a snug hold and feel kind of like a warm hug on my foot. Now that we've talked about, oh, there's a couple more details. We've also got a thin padding around the ankle opening here that's nice and soft. It's not special, but it does keep your foot protected. When I was running in this shoe stockless, it felt great for a couple 3-4 mile runs. The next run I did was 5 miles in this shoe, and then I did get blisters on both feet from this stitching right here, where I did get blisters on both heels from where the stitching attaches that light padding to the cellar mesh. But now that I have blisters, I'd probably be fine running in it again. It does feel pretty good, and on those hot days, sometimes you need that. On the medial aspect of this upper, there is a strip here that says the Adizero Pro, and that strip really supports the midfoot. I felt like that pulled the arch in and gave me some added arch support that was absent when running in the SL20. This was the loosest part of the SL20 where the upper sort of had some slack, but it was nice and tight above the arch in the Adizero Pro. Now I'm gonna tell you about that 18-mile run. I had not run more than 10 miles in the previous 3 months But I wanted to give this shoe a decent test with a long run because this shoe is designed for half marathon to marathon racing. So I wanted to go out there at those paces. And I was super impressed, y'all. I was planning to give this shoe 4 to 4.5 stars out of 5 before this long run. But once I just got going, I just fell into my paces. I wasn't even planning on running too long at a faster pace because, again, I hadn't run more than 10 in quite a while. But as I fell into that half marathon to marathon pace, for me that's 7:10 to 7:40 a mile. Once I fell into that half marathon to marathon pace, I really felt like I could just keep clicking along with this shoe. Around mile 10, I decided to stop and switch up the lacing, and that is when I got a little crazy, and I thought I'd try these holes that are the furthest out, and I loved it enough that I haven't changed it back. So I kept on running, and then about mile 12 to 16 or so, there was a downpour, and I was expecting waterlogged shoes. But what I noticed about this one is that I didn't even notice a change in my running form or in my paces. I just kept right on clicking along on that wet pavement. The Continental rubber handled awesome on asphalt, concrete, and road with some little pebbles on it. No problems with grip, no problems with waterlogged shoe. Just shed right through this thin membrane of the cellar mesh upper. I also noticed after that run, well, okay, I was planning on running 14, maybe 15 miles, and like I said, I ended up running 18, and I feel like I could have just kept on going. It just really felt good. I was very surprised. The rest of the day after that run, normally my feet ache a little bit, and I put them up at night to kind of help them get back to normal. I felt like I didn't even have to do that. I think that boost underneath the ball of my foot really helped protect my foot, and that's why I love the Adizero Tempo 9 so much. And that's again why I love this Adizero Pro. The light strike with the boost, the Continental rubber, the gripping even under the heel, it just performed fabulous. The cellar mesh was breathable on super hot days, really shed that water during the downpour. I've decided that going forward, I'm going to use this shoe for my next marathon and half marathon in any adverse conditions, heat, possible rain, even normal weather. I'm going to keep my Tempo 9 around in case I have like a cold fall or winter race. But otherwise, I think that this Adizero Pro has won me over. If you need heavy support in the heel, from a heel counter, you're probably not going to want to switch to this shoe from the Tempo 9. But the Tempo 9, you know, that's a light stability shoe to begin with. So I'd say take a look at this Adizero Pro. I'm pretty impressed, and again, it took me running a long run in it to convince me and really bring me over into the Adizero Pro Club. I thought I was going to need a thicker midsole, like the Nike Alphafly Next Percent or the Nike Vaporfly or Hoka Rincon. A lot of these shoes with carbon plates have thicker midsoles, but I was pleasantly surprised that this midsole did the job. It protected my foot, helped me feel good even the rest of the day. If you liked the review, please hit like and subscribe so you can get the latest and best reviews from runners just like you from all around the world here at Running Shoes Guru. Thank you.